Welcome back. This is Crash Course number 36. I'm Sammy Chimonahihi Aliubi from the Eagle One development team. And what we're going to continue working on today is building towards our 3D skybox. And as I've been getting a lot of requests and people have been asking, hey, how do we build this 3D skybox? We're going to go ahead and make an effort towards getting that created. I'm going to make a canal here. This is what we're going to go for, a little bit of a canal. And I'm just going to take these faces. Let's change their subdivision down to level 0. And I'm going to create some nice little curves here actually as we go about making our canal. The way I'm going to make these though, I'm just going to grab these walls. We're going to pull it out. I'm going to delete these faces. Let's give this a little bit of a curve. We just learned how to do that. Now, I normally would spend time going through and filling this in, but this is an end-gon, and right now I don't have time to cut this through. You will notice, though, if you try to cut up some of these end-gons, like let's say you're actually trying to legitimately make sure that they don't stay as end-gons, you might end up with something that looks really crazy, and you just have to go back to level 0. Understand that every time you cut into it, it might end up creating a random hole like this, and if it does that, just change it to subdivision 0 and then go through, and then you can make sure that your end-gon has gone away. All right, but I'm not going to spend the entire time doing that. You just have to make sure you stitch it through. Let's go ahead here and let's have a nice curve change. So this is going to be a little bit different, like a wall that I'm going to pull down here. This is actually going to be ours at 128, and then let's go ahead and actually bridge the two of these together. Perfect. And now, same idea. I would go ahead and cut this up, but right now, unfortunately, we don't exactly have the time. And then this is just going to be our flat end. Merge the two of these together so everything's nice and happy. And then I'm just removing the subdivisions from these as we do not need them. Okay, so far so good. All of this is gray though. Let's just go ahead and start applying materials to make sense of this. And as we apply these materials, we're going to start to see that this little metallic-like texture we'll probably end up changing it later, but it gives us a great way to see how this canal is going to be defined. Now, in order to continue making this canal, we're going to need to go ahead and give this a little bit of a depth. So I'm going to change this to a 128 grid size. All right, just go ahead and pull it out, and we're going to do it twice. And then I'm going to go ahead and start making these quick walls over on this side. And then we'll just go ahead for right now and pretend that this intersects over out here. Okay, let's just lower the grid size to just make sure that these meet. Perfect. Let's just go ahead and merge these two together just for now, just make it easier. So if I double click the bottom, pretty much all of this is connected. Let's merge those two, and then we double click the bottom. Excellent. All right, so now I have the basics of my canal. I want the player, when the player comes here, they're not going to be able to cross the canal, but our idea is that they can interact with the canal. The canal is going to be something they can throw stuff into, but everything outside of the canal is going to be essentially part of our skybox. All right, so as we build this canal, I do have some techniques that we can use to try to create some fun with the architecture here. I'm going to hold down Shift, I'm going to pull it down, extrude it another 128, and then while it's down here, I'm just going to grab this portion of it. I'm sorry, I want to grab all of it actually, not just one portion of it. And I'm gonna do something that's gonna be a fun technique. I'm gonna press Insert, and this is gonna allow me to change my pivot point. I'm gonna press E, and then I'm gonna hold down Shift, and I'm gonna pull it in. Okay. Now what this is gonna do is it's gonna give me some interesting curves when I go down a little bit. Now we have a basin for our canal. Okay, and we can play with these edges, you know, if you want to make sure it looks a little bit better. That's fine. There we go. If any part of this needs to be adjusted, you can go ahead and readjust it. But for right now, it looks like we've done a good job of making sure that this whole basin is covered. Okay, now we can fill this in. This is a monster end-gon, 44 edges. Yes, this is our record end-gon. Once again, though, I do not have time to go through and cut this up, but there are going to be ways for you to come in here and attempt to try to break down as many of these as you can. And, you know, one way that you might end up going about this is, if you don't want to create a monster engon, it may end up being better to do this, okay, where you go ahead, you just cover up what you need, okay, and you might have to just change a little bit. There we go, there we go, there we go. Then do this, and then if you really want to try to make sure that it all fits at the very end, you could just actually end up going ahead and adding a little bit more like that. So it's up to you. You know, I personally am just going to go with the 44 engon for right now, just because it's completely against everything that we say. But seriously, try to cut this up, use faces, and worst case, just make a giant rectangle underneath it. It's fine. It's not going to be that big of a deal. All right, so we've created our canal so far, and now we need to just give it some depth. And so once again, the idea behind this is that we're going to build everything into the world. Okay, your 3D skybox is literally just going to be an extension of what you've built. But the problem is that people who try to build their they try to build their skybox outside of here, their scale's off, everything becomes completely messed up, because the skybox is going to be built at a 16th of your world scale, and that tends to really mess people up if they try to build it outside of the actual world itself. All right, so I'm just quickly going through and trying to give you guys a little bit more of a perception of exactly how this is going to work. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to build some gates. So let's take models. Let's go to gate. Actually, let's go to fence. And if we type in fence here, chain link fence 128, that's going to be what we use. Now, there is a tile set for this. Okay, absolutely, there is. The tile set for this is absolute garbage. You can try to set it up and work on it. Valve only had 3 iterations of that tile mesh set actually working. And so what's actually better is to place the model down and then just use a transform, hold shift, and go ahead and build the next one. Okay, now usually though, your grid, you know, let's try to keep it 8-4 at the lowest if possible. Okay, and then I can just press shift G. Notice if I'm building it on the grid, you know, everything is nice and happy. Okay, I can bring it over here, rotate it. Okay, same thing, bring it over here. I can rotate this. Okay, and then once I bring it to this side, one thing I can do is, if I want to keep it in line, a trick is to just go ahead, bring it out, press Alt-Enter, and here, I have a 128. I want the fence, and I want the 32 version. So type in fence 32. Here it is. And with this model, okay, and how I want to change it. See how it's sticking out? I'm just going to go ahead, and I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to place it over here. Okay, and notice what it does is it changes the model to the smaller one while keeping it in line on its origin. So I don't have to try to realign it. And so I can just go over here, try my best. Is that aligned? Yeah, it's aligned in world origin. Hold down shift, rotate, shift, rotate, and you'll see how much easier this is. Like I said, tile mesh set for this is not nearly as useful. It's a pain to rotate. It's actually much faster to just go through this one and do it manually. Okay, and so by the time I'm done, we've now set up here a fence that is going to allow us to see a lot more. Ooh, see how these all have circles in them? So I actually didn't want that one. That's fine. Select all of them. And let's go to the one I do want. I actually wanted this one right here. So I'm just going to do a mass change. Select them, drag it over, and now all of them have been changed. This last one, I want to close off, so I'm going to have it selected. And in the object properties, I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this in there. Perfect. That model fits now. And we have here our chain link fence that's starting to cut off the rest of this, which is eventually going to be our 3D skybox. All right. So hopefully you guys were able to follow along today, learn a couple of neat techniques, being able to create some interesting architecture down here, as well as filling this in, the chain link fence, using the ability for us to transform in local origin and to rotate and then just simply change models at once. That's going to be something that's very useful. All right, we'll see you guys on our next Crash Course video.